Okay, good afternoon, YouTube. This is Renetta again, Renetta Jones. Today is October 30th of 2015, and I'm showcasing today my interactive personal credit card. I call it the IPSC or the PSC. Now, what's different about my credit card and your standard credit card? Well, this credit card it's a game changer. It's gonna change the way customers make purchases online. With this credit card, the customer becomes invisible. Again, this credit card, the customer becomes invisible. And I'll show you the features of this credit card that makes the customer become invisible. And some would ask, okay, if they become invisible, how is their product going to be delivered or the service rendered? And why would the customer be invisible doing online banking, transaction, and purchases? For security reasons, I invented this interactive credit card. For security reasons, to protect the consumer's identity. We see in the news, every day in the news, we see major banks, major governments, banks, businesses are being hacked and personal information, personal data, online data is being breached. And we see that the laws protecting personal data are not being respected by some. So what I'm attempting to do is I'm attempting to mediate between online purchases, online banking, and hacking, right? And how did I attempt to do this? Now, this is the first prototype of what it should look like, and I'll explain it. Okay, so I call it the PSC. It's a personal credit card, and it's for invisible shopping. The card itself comes with an address. The address that comes with the card is not the consumer's home address. Because again, that's an area in which online fraud takes place, knowing the consumer's personal information, right? So I attempted to ameliorate that problem by building into the credit card an address. So if a hacker hacks into the credit card, the hacker is not going to get the consumer's address. Okay? This feature here, this is what the credit card looks like on the front. This is what it would look like on the back. Okay? And again, it's interactive. It's an interactive credit card, bank card, prepaid card, shopping card, gift card, whatever. It's interactive. Okay, this is the front. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a screen. Okay, this is a screen. Okay, it's not static. It's a rolling screen, right? Which means information can be updated into the screen. Okay, now what's different about the sequence of numbers, letters, and symbols, what's different from traditional credit card and this credit card is that the first part of the credit card are not numbers. It's actually an alphabet symbolic code. An alphabet and a symbol code. Then you have the numeric code. So it's a triple defense. You have a alpha, symbol, numeric code, right? It's not just numbers. Numbers are easy to hack. Symbols are much more difficult. We know that in I don't know too much about hacking, but we do know that it's much more difficult to hack into passwords. This is not a password. This is an account code that have symbols built into them, right? So what I attempted to do here is I attempted to start this interactive card with an alphabet and a symbol, and then I went into the numbers, the 16-digit number, right? Now this screen, what's interesting about this is that it's not a static screen. Once a consumer uses, I'll tell you how you use this card. You can use it one in two ways. The 21st century way, as you can see here, you're probably wondering what this is. Okay, this is touch tone. It's a light touch tone fingerprint recognition remote that's built into the card. You activate the card by fingerprint recognition. So you place your thumb on this area and the card comes out of sleep mode. Okay, after you remove your finger, you have about 15 seconds and the card goes into sleep mode. The card cannot activate without your fingerprint. Hopefully you keep your finger. Okay, and of course if you can't use your thumb on your right hand, you can use your thumb on your left hand, or you can use three fingers. You would have a choice of two thumbs, your two thumb left or right, or you would have a choice of four fingers in case, you know, anything happens. And yes, it will make discretion for your toes or your eyes or whatever. I'm just kidding. Anyway, okay, so this is a fingerprint recognition that's built into the card. Fingerprint recognition that is built into the card, right? Once the card recognizes your fingerprint, the card comes out of sleep mode. You cannot use this card without fingerprint recognition. Now there's an up button, there's a down button. The up button and down button, once you press this would allow you to go into the history of your card right then and there. Okay, so you can see it will not give you a balance. It will not give you a balance. Okay, but what it will do is it will give you a list of transactions made, the date they were made, and where those transactions occurred. So let's say you made a purchase online at Amazon. I can't think of anything else. It will show you on December 19th, 2015, purchase Amazon online. And it can give you a long layout, but it does not give you a balance for security reasons. Okay? Now these are usual features that you find on the card: expiration date, your name, and some sort of code here. You can put a universal banking logo here, MasterCard, Visa, etc. Here, that can go there, or whatever other RFID chip. Anyway, so let's go back here to this screen. Now, how this works is that on your regular credit card, you have a permanent number. You have one number. Now, the question in my mind, my brain started thinking, hey, if someone has access to that number, okay, you have to go through this process of recovering. If someone has access to that number, you have to go through a process of recovering that. Now, I attempted to solve that problem by giving rolling numbers. Now, each individual who has access to this card will be given between 100 and 500 alpha symbolic numerical codes. So once you make a transaction with this number, you cannot make another transaction with this number. Another number appears on the card. Okay, these codes would identify you. These codes would remain the same, but the numbers is what would change. So for example, my code would be XYZ, what's the symbol again? Exclamation point. XYZ exclamation point. That would be my permanent code. And then the numbers what would change. But what makes it a unique code is that it recognizes from X all the way to 1, right? So what would change would be the 16-digit numbers. These would never remain the same. Why is this important? Well, it's important to the consumer because it's an added layer of defense. If someone were to get a hold of your credit card with that number that's on your credit card, that's a permanent number, right? But with this card, if someone were to get a hold of this card, first they have to get past that fingerprint recognition in order to wake the card up from sleeping mode. Second of all, there are no permanent numbers. The numbers are rolling numbers. Once the number is used and the transaction is cleared, the card, and you completed your transaction, the card goes into sleep mode until you need it again. You can also, let's say you have, hypothetically, you have a day of purchases you have to make. You can keep the number. You can tell the card that you want to use the number for the day. So you have a 24-hour period to use that specific number, right? So you can say to the card, look, because you don't want to change numbers 5 times in a day, right? So you could say to the card, okay, look, I'm going to make XYZ amount of purchases in one day. The card can store that one number for your daily purchase. But after 24 hours, you're given a new number. Why? Because if someone were to get a hold of this card with your permanent number, they can clean you out, right? But with a rolling number, it's much more difficult for them to be able to take that number, to get your permanent number and do the kinds of damages that, obviously you can get that money back, but after you go through the process, right? It's much more difficult for them to take, it's much more difficult for them to get that rolling number. The other thing is, this card does not reveal this. The third layer of defense is that this card does not reveal your location. Your address is hidden. The card knows your address. The banks know your address. But let's say hypothetically, this is what it looks like, right? Let's say hypothetically someone steals your card, right? And they get past the fingerprint, which is very difficult. And they get into the code system, right? And they make a purchase. Now, unless you specify that purchase is to go to a different home address, whatever they purchase will go directly to your home, which they will never know, because you do not with this card enter an address. That's why it's an invisible shopping card. Your address is hidden. Your name is revealed, but your address is hidden. The card comes with an address, but that address, the public address, is not your personal address. Once the card verifies the transaction, the product automatically goes to your address, which is not known by a second party. So if someone decides to take this card and use it without your knowledge, they would not be, it will be much more difficult for them to do so because it needs address verification and they won't know your address. Okay, another unique feature about this card is you don't have to manually put in any information when you're doing an online purchase. This feature, this thumb recognition feature, allows you, and the screen allows you to place your thumb on the thumb recognition feature, aim the card. Once it recognizes your thumb and authenticates your thumb, You can aim the card at the computer. You can aim the card at the bank. You can aim the card wherever you need to make a purchase without having the card scanned, without manually, without manual data entry. You can aim the card. Once there's a thumb recognition and an identity authentication, you can aim the card much like a remote and make your purchases. So that's another interesting feature. Okay, these are some of the features that come with this card. Okay, so because your real identity is hidden, again, it's an invisible it's an invisible personal card. Okay, so you have protection you have 3 layers of protection from online fraud. You have at least 2 hacker-proof layers. Comes with hidden identity and a hidden address. There's a public address attached to the card, and then there's your real address. When you make a purchase and the purchase is authenticated, it has to be authenticated. Once the authentication process is over, the bank who releases the funds recognizes your address and sends the purchase to your address. Okay? However, your address will not be stored in anyone's database. It will be hidden. It will be between yourself and the bank, and that's it. Okay? So the company would recognize the card's address, but the bank who releases the funds would know your true address, and the exchange would take place, and the purchase would be sent. The product would be sent to your address. Okay? So then there's a rolling code. Okay? The beautiful thing about this rolling code, it's not a permanent number. So if someone manages to get past all these defenses, okay? If someone manages to get past these defenses, you have time. You have time to block the whoever from doing a lot of damage. Okay, you can remotely, go online, you can limit how you want to use these codes. You can say, okay, I want the codes to be 5 hours. I want the codes to be, 24 hours if I'm making a lot of purchases. So if someone gets access to this card, you can make changes. You can make changes to these cards to block anyone from using these cards, right? Okay, and then you have the interactive screen interface, which is this. Okay, so what's unique about this screen, again, is that these numbers are not static. These numbers change. What remains the same are these the alpha and the symbolic code, because that's a personal code that identifies you. It will be different for someone else. Okay, this same interactive screen can give you a list of all your purchases. Okay, so if someone is trying to use your card, you can say, okay, it can give you the run out of your purchases for a week, 2 weeks, a month. So let's see. Oh, so someone asked, okay, how would this card operate? Okay, what I tried to do was I tried to make it a self-energizing card. Okay, in your wallet gets pretty warm, so I say it will be a self-energizing kind of card because it's going to need energy to run. So I said the heat that's inside of your wallet, okay, and the card can also come with a little sleeve that can allow it to generate heat, okay, because you're going to need heat to perform these functions, right? Again, and what's interesting about these numbers is that these numbers are not stored on the card. The numbers are automatically downloaded from the card, from the bank to your card. So the numbers they're random numbers that are selected, and it's possible to do that. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that's basically it. That's the interactive personal credit card for personal online secure shopping, or I call it invisible shopping or invisible online banking and transactions. Thanks. Bye.